Ladies and gentlemen, would everyone please stand for the pledge? At this time, I'd like to introduce Ralph Bensing. Ralph Bensing? Is Ralph here?
Yep,
Ralph? Ralph Bensing, American Legion Post 465 in German. Ralph is a Vietnam-era veteran and served the United States Navy from 1964 to 1968. He achieved the rank of E4, and he was a torpedo man in the second class. Thank you for your service, Ralph. The floor is yours.
With the flag of a grateful nation in place, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, everyone please remain standing just for a moment of silence. First and foremost, we're for a moment of silence. 50 years today that Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated. Our country lost a great man. I'd like to have a moment of silence for Martin Luther King. And also a moment of silence for firefighter Ivan Flashen and Zachary Anthony, who lost their lives in a factory fire in York, PA. You know, this is about our first responders and keeping them in our thoughts and prayers and their families in their time of need. You know, when they go out the door to go to work, their lives are being put on the line. And these two firefighters lost their lives trying to make sure their community was safe. So please also keep them in our thoughts and prayers. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to bring this Wednesday, April 4th, 2016 Board of Commissioners meeting, 6:30 p.m. in the German Borough Building to order. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the Mayor, City Council, and the citizens of German for having us into their council chambers. This is our first of 4 on-the-road meetings. Gives the people an opportunity to ask the Board of Commissioners questions, and we have most of our directors here to answer any of your questions you may have. This time, I'd like to make a motion for the approval of the minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Commissioner Terriani?
Yes.
Commissioner Cummings?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes. Proclamation presentation, 18-0087. Proclamation declaring that April 8th through April 14th is National Library Week in Lackawanna County. We have someone here from the library today?
Good evening,
Also have
Commissioners.
Susan Jeffries up too, if possible.
We have Jeannie from Taylor and
we have
Sandy
all-
from
oh, great.
Abington, and we have a couple of library board members here with us as well.
Joan's here, I gotta make sure Joan gets up.
Joan is here.
Okay.
Thank you for having us here tonight in celebration of National Library Week. I am proud to announce that our Lackawanna County libraries have been recognized by the Pennsylvania Library Association as PA Forward Star Libraries for the work that they're doing to promote literacies that are essential to success in today's world. Literacies like financial literacy and health literacy and information literacy. PA Forward is an initiative that was conceived to give voice to something that the library community already knows. And that is that our libraries are ideally positioned to be the community centers for information, technology, and learning that can fuel economic and educational opportunity for all of our citizens. Our libraries offer early learning opportunities for children, technology assistance for adults, conversation and discussion groups for our communities, health and wellness books and databases, and programs that encourage financial fitness. We are especially proud of our Creation Station program that gives individuals and small businesses the resources that they need to create and edit audio, video, and graphic design projects. And we're especially proud that we have a 3D printer that can be used by those individuals or small businesses to produce useful objects or prototypes for new products. Libraries are among the busiest places in Lackawanna County, and I'd like to share some statistics with you to prove that point. Last year, our libraries were visited nearly 700,000 times. That's about 2,300 times each day at our 10 locations. Our county residents borrowed more than 1 million items, including books, audiobooks, and ebooks. and they used our databases to find information more than 50,000 times. Our in-house computers were used 115,000 times, and our website recorded 310,000 visits. And approximately 80,000 people of all ages participated in programs, 4,500 programs that were held at our libraries in the last year. So imagine, if you will, a future where all of our libraries unite to help our residents succeed as citizens, as parents, as employers, as workers, as consumers. And I'd like to think that that future is here right now in Lackawanna County. It's here in our star libraries, and it is here in large part because of the support of you, our Lackawanna County Commissioners, and the people of Lackawanna County. So thank you for all you do to keep our libraries vibrant, and I'd like to congratulate all of our star librarians who do so much every day to meet the needs of our residents and our communities. And again, thank you for having us here.
Thank you. We'd like to have some of the other librarians just get up and say their name and where they're from, and our board members, because, you know, they, our libraries really matter to everyone in Lackawanna County, and our board really does too. They do a great job. Susan?
I have no problem with that, Pat.
I know.
Good evening. My name is Susan Jeffrey. I'm the director of the North Pocono Public Library. I'm very proud of that. And most recently, we have been working on a life planning series. This was a 4-part series that helped adults and seniors learn about end-of-life decisions, important legal documents that they need to have in place. And also we worked with Jason Kavulich from the Area Office of the Aging to help families learn what palliative and supportive programs there are available in the county. So this has been a very successful program. It has been very well received. The programs that we offer at North Pocono, from the very smallest babies to the eldest of people, are there because they are essential. They are necessary, and the need for funding and maintaining libraries in Lackawanna County is essential for a sustainable and healthy community. We are proud and very passionate about the work we do and glad to serve the community.
Thanks, Susan. Anyone else? Joan, would you like to give us say a few words about being on the board? Any upcoming events?
Oh, there's all kinds of upcoming events, but Swinging on the Vine comes to mind for the Scranton Public Library at the end of May. But I think Mary spoke very well about what we contribute to Lackawanna County and its residents. And I hope that people understand libraries are a public service entity. Okay, we exist to serve the public. If the public doesn't come and partake of our services, we have no business. And that's our bread and butter, that's our lifeblood. So I hope that everyone that can will visit a library, if not next week, sometime in the near future, and take advantage of all the wonderful services that we offer. We really can help everybody in this community.
Thanks, Joan. Anyone else? Commissioner Cummings?
Well, the citizens of Lackawanna County are in such favor of library services that we actually have a dedicated tax to them that was voted on by the people and overwhelmingly supported that tax. So we're proud to be able to help fund the libraries throughout our county with that tax, and the great work that you do is very appreciative by all of us. And Joan is always here to represent the good works of the library, and you know, I just appreciate that. So thank you for all the work that you all do, and you know, I look forward to continuing to work with you.
Commissioner Terriani?
Mary, you and your staff do a phenomenal job. You have a great support in people like Joan and the rest of your auxiliary boards and your boards. It's a wonderful system. It does help drive economic development, which is very important to Lackawanna County. It's what we need to do to go forward. And I continue doing the great job that you have been, and thank you very much to all of you.
Mary, Susan, Joan, thank you for everything that you do every day, and I know it's in your heart and your soul. Joan became a member of the library because she would come to our meetings and talk about the library constantly. She wasn't even a member. She just believed in the library and what it brought to Lackawanna County. I'd like to thank Joan for stepping up to the plate and becoming a member of the board. You know, the libraries are so different today. They're not just books. They're DVDs, they're computers, they're ways to learn how to do your resume. There's a reading tree up in the Moscow Library. There's so many different options. There's a garden up in the Moscow Library. Mary has so many different events that go down to downtown Scranton and all of our libraries throughout Lackawanna County. They really are something that matters to all of us in Lackawanna County. We'd like to thank you for the hard work that you put in every day. Thank you, because I know that you really love it. It's true. It's in your hearts, all of you. I'm gonna try. I don't have my. They usually enlarge the proclamations for me. This one is going to be a little tough. Whereas the Lackawanna County Library System, established in 1983, comprises 7 community libraries at 10 locations, and is a trusted and treasured institution to our county, where libraries and library staff members work at our communities. Whereas Lackawanna County libraries are open to all who seek the information or access to technology and the skills needed to thrive in a digital world. And that's a big thing about it today. Like, it's just changed so much. There's computer modules all over the place inside the libraries today. Whereas Lackawanna County Library System has throughout history demonstrated a commitment to the continuous innovation of excellence. Whereas Lackawanna County Libraries open a world of possibilities through innovative STEM program, creation stations, a computer learning lab, job-seeking resources, and unleashing the powers of reading and lifelong education. And the other thing is, you know, the libraries aren't just about all those things they talked about. They sometimes have animals come in to the children's library downtown. Some of our children would never have these opportunities except for the libraries going out and bringing these programs and bringing these events into their individual libraries. Whereas the Lackawanna County Library System serves the community members, offering services and educational resources, transforming the lives and open minds. Whereas Lackawanna County Libraries have been named Star Libraries of Pennsylvania Library Association for the achievement of developing services and addressing 5 essential literacy and PA-forward innovations. The Lackawanna County Library System is joining libraries across America in celebrating National Library Week. Now therefore, we, Patrick O'Malley, Jerry Notarianni, and Lorraine A. Cummings, Commissioners of Lackawanna County, Pennsylvania, hereby acknowledge and proclaim on behalf of the 214,000 residents that April 8th through April 14th, 2018 as National Library Week in Lackawanna County. Congratulations. Fran, where would you like them to come up?
Joanne Wilson is standing out in the hall. She needs a seat. Is there a seat in there?
Who's that?
Joanne Wilson. She's on the council. She's on the board. Oh, okay.
Right there, Joanne, just sit right there.
They can't hear you back there.
Okay.
So you know, I got
They can't hear?
text messages.
Oh, they can't hear me? Oh, okay. Really? Okay. Okay. Congratulations, man. Oh, need longer arms.
Squeeze in, guys. You guys want to get in the middle? I'm the tallest one.
All right, guys. Here we go. Everybody looking at me. We'll take a couple with Mary's camera and a couple with the county camera. Okay? Everybody looking at me. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3. Hang on one second. You get our camera going? No flashes. Big call for it. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, and 3. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Fran.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate it.
Congratulations. Thank you very much for what you do every day.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Joan.
Do you want to Joanne Wilson come down and pull up a chair? She can pull a chair there.
I think it's some of these ladies are
They're probably going to be, yeah, I would think so too.
Yeah. See if there's more seats in. 'Cause they're standing out in the hall.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have some more chairs freed up. If anyone's standing in the hall, if they'd like to move in. Would you guys like to stand, have a seat? It's sitting. Okay.
Yeah, they're out in the hall. I don't think they can hear us.
Would you like to have a seat? Would you like to have a seat? Okay, go ahead, let them know.
There's more chairs available, whoever wants to come in.
Okay,
More seats. Turn the sound system up.
turn the sound system up.
I don't know how to do that.
Pat, pull the mic closer.
Okay.
They can't hear it all.
Can you hear it now?
Can you hear now?
Can you hear it now?
Tilt it up.
Okay. Can everyone hear now? Okay. Okay, 18-0088, Small Business Spotlight. Commissioner Cummings.
McDermott's Pub. Who do we have from McDermott's Pub? John? Is John here?
McDermott's Pub? McDermott's Pub.
McDermott's Pub.
hear you. Can't hear me.
Who's here from McDermott's Pub?
McDermott's Pub.
Dermot's Pub, anybody?
That's where Shaughnessy was before the meeting.
They said after the meeting.
Well, that's okay. I mean, we could still give, do we want to?
We give it to
Give them
them.
a shout out.
We usually, what the Small Business Spotlight is, for those of you that aren't aware, when we first took office, it was something that I had wanted to provide as a small business spotlight, and both Commissioner O'Malley and Commissioner Notarianni, agreed with me on that, allowed us to do this every time we have a meeting, and we recognize a small business throughout the county that's either had an anniversary or a milestone, or just to get them to come in after years of service and hear their story. So what I'll do is I'll just read the write-up that we have on them, that they usually speak at the podium. McDermott's Pub, a small business spotlight, is at 200 Delaware Street in German, is named after the McDermott family, where patrons have gathered to enjoy a drink and a meal for more than a century. Irish immigrant John McDermott opened the business in the late 1800s as a dry goods store and tavern. The place turned into a popular spot for coal miners to grab drinks and food from the small kitchen in the back. His son, William McDermott, began a wholesale and retail liquor and beer business after taking it over. Upon his death, his son, William J. McDermott, Jr., led the business, surviving not only Prohibition, which is interesting, isn't that interesting? His father sent him to pharmacy school, as pharmacists were authorized to prescribe alcohol, but also the Great Depression. When William then passed it on to his daughter, Sheila Wilkes, and her husband, who remodeled the Delaware Street staple. When none of the Wilkes' three daughters showed interest in owning the pub, the couple grew nervous it would leave the family. Sheila Wilkes and her husband, Pete, sold the pub to her nephew and current owner, James McDermott, the fifth generation of the family to own the place. Always surrounded by his family business, McDermott put in bids at local bars about 20 years ago to no avail. As fate would have it, James lost his job at Sinram in 2016, allowing him to take over the pub with his wife Alicia. Many people may know it by Bottlers, a name which came from a time pub bottled beer and peddled it on horse and buggy. Today the McDermotts have made some changes, such as banning smoking and offering live entertainment on Friday and Saturday nights. Sheila and Pete still stop by to help out. McDermott's Pub is a business invested in our community. For information, visit their Facebook page or call 570-876-1695. And, just from that small write-up, which, thank you, Fran Pantuso, you could see that the history of this one pub in our community has so much information just in that small description, and it's just a testament to the people that live in our community, and I'm proud to acknowledge them today.
I'd also like to add that, we're talking about 5 generations here, they kept this in the family, maybe a generation or two, and then it goes to the wayside, or the grandchildren move on to something else, but to have 5 generations, I'd like to congratulate the McDermott family, and a job well done, and to future generations taking over the business. Commissioner Notarianni?
I too would, I can't imagine being in business quite that long. I'm pretty old and I've been in business a long time, but that's really something. But you've got to give credit too, not just the McDermotts, but Pete and Sheila Wilkes for making it sure that they did sell it to a nephew that will continue that tradition. They did a great job too. That's when I knew of the place actually. But it's an interesting bar. I'm sure everyone in German is well aware, and it's a very nice place, and I encourage you to stop by there.
I also would like to acknowledge Pete and Sheila Wilkes. The nice thing about the bar is the big alligator. There's even a big alligator in the bar. There's a big alligator stuffed inside the bar.
Is there really?
Yeah, yeah, it's like an 8-footer. Yeah, it's monstrous.
It's a big
But
catch.
congratulations to all of them on a job well done. Okay, at this time, an opportunity for the public to address the board on agenda items only. Okay. Resolution 18-0086.
Commissioners, this is approving the current payables for Lackawanna County that are due and payable. Be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County does hereby approve the following payables from the Lackawanna County General Fund, numbers 260217 through 260835 inclusive, totaling $10,008,833.75. Electronic fund transfers, including all payroll accounts, totaling $6,303,660.72. And our controller, Gary DeBilio, is here, who can answer any questions on the payables about to be paid.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion approving current payables, all but 260511. And that is Walker Coming for Law, and it's for a $45,000 settlement. Do I have a second?
Second, but on the question?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
I'm trying to figure out how this got expedited so fast.
I can answer that question.
How did it get expedited so
I
fast?
was asked by someone to do it. I questioned the process, and I asked them if it was something that we owed them the money, and I asked them if they could, how it works and where it goes, and they paid it. It's not something that I encouraged. I didn't hire them to do anything. They were paid the bill.
Commissioner?
I just don't want to have my signature on something that I wasn't aware of, that's all. And I really don't know if this is the correct venue to discuss all
I
of
think Rick
it.
Jones is here. He can answer it. It was a bill that he was approved. It was approved by
Rick, would you
Tom
like to come
Durkin.
forward?
There's nothing unusual about it other than the time frame involved.
As far as the particular settlement in question that's been identified, on a Tuesday a couple weeks ago, I received a signed general release from the defense counsel that was handling the case for the county, Attorney Heisler. He submitted the signed general release from the plaintiff and plaintiff's counsel, and accompanied by the signed general release was a W-9 for plaintiff's counsel for the check to be able to clear through the county controller's office. I received that communication then from County General Counsel Don Frederickson, who had received it from defense counsel, and Don had approved the settlement for payment by the county in the sum of $45,000. It was a case of clear liability, and a case that obviously the county was not interested in taking to trial because we had no defense for the actions of the individual charged. Upon receipt of the signed general release in the W-9, I initiated a check request approved by County General Counsel Don Frederickson, and hand carried that to accounts payable so that it could be entered into the New World system. I have no New World access. I've never had New World access in the 10 plus years I've been at the county. I don't want to have New World access. That's the access that the county has in order to process invoices and payments and other accounting matters. And from there, my last involvement was I had a visit from Commissioner Notarianni later that day, later on that Tuesday, and Commissioner Notarianni asked me basically the process to how long it takes to have a payment issued by the county. And I told Commissioner Notarianni roughly 3 weeks, because there's a 3-level approval process: approval by the county CFO, approval from the county treasurer's office, and approval, I believe, from the county controller's office. And the next thing was that I was asked, I believe a question came from plaintiff's counsel through an email as to how long it would take. I believe that email went to our defense counsel and then circled back to me, how long it would take to issue the check. And I said the same thing, basically 3 weeks, because of the number of approvals that it takes for the county to normally process a check request.
But all of those approvals were in place before the check was issued.
Excuse me?
All those approvals were in place before the check was issued.
Once I took the invoice request to accounts payable, that really ends my involvement.
Okay.
Because I don't have any New World access, and I don't have any approval to countersign a check or
Okay.
or what have you.
Basically, though, these, by the time we get them, they're already paid. So it's you know, I've approved things that I didn't know about and I'm uncomfortable with. Now, currently, we're hiring law firms to, for reasons we still don't exactly know, over the prison system that I have no control over. And again, I haven't approved any of those that I was aware of prior to doing it. But this was a check that was approved by Don Frederickson. You approved it. It went to the chief financial officer, he approved it. It went to the controller, he approved it, and it was issued. Was it issued in an expedited manner? Yes, it was. Was there anything illegal or unquestionable about it? No, other than the time frame. This is just an attempt by Commissioner O'Malley to make it an issue to me.
Yeah. I don't have any.
I understand.
I don't have any means
I'm good
to
with it.
expedite a
Okay.
check request. I
Okay.
just hand the
Again,
check
but
request
they've been
to
paid,
accounts
they've been
payable.
approved by the controller. That's the end of it, in my opinion.
Solicitor Frederickson, just a quick question. You just approved the settlement. You didn't approve the check to be cut, did you?
Well, no, we approved the settlement after I spoke to the 3 commissioners. I did discuss with all 3 of you, and we had settled the case, and we approved.
We owed them the money.
We did, yeah, we gave them authorization to settle the case,
Okay,
and
all
that
right.
was it. I don't have
That's the end
authorization
of
to
it.
process a
Okay.
check, no.
The concerning part is this. This is the part where it comes in a little bit of a question. It's a 3 to 4 week process. We usually don't go near these for a while. It was pushed through probably within how many days, Rick? How many days did it take the check to be cut to?
I really don't know exactly. All I know is the following Monday, I checked with accounts payable to see if the check request had been entered into the system, because sometimes there's a delay from the time you take a check request to accounts payable before it even gets entered into the system. And I wanted to make sure that it got into the system so that it could meet the 3-week time frame that I had promised somebody that they'd get their check. And I had also communicated that to Commissioner Notarianni, so I
I asked
certainly
you,
didn't
how's the
want
process
Commissioner
work?
Notarianni to be given information that a check would be issued in 3 weeks and then it wasn't issued within 3 weeks. And I was told by accounts payable that the check had already been cut and picked up. So I was, okay, check was cut and picked up.
See, my concern with it is, we have a fiduciary responsibility, and, this is a lawsuit against the county. And I think it's very unusual for one of our commissioners to actually go and expedite a check that's against the county.
Suit that our attorney,
That-
your attorney,
I
decided to
understand that.
pay, and it went through all the
But
proper channels. It went to the
we-
controller. It went through all the
we
proper channels, and we got paid.
represent-
On the other hand, we're hiring for $300,000 and $400,000 law firms to defend Lord knows what in the county prison investigation. And we have no control over that. If they don't get paid, maybe they won't get paid in 3 or 4 weeks. But why are we hiring them is a question. Is it because you were at the jail, because you worked there, because it has something to do with what you were doing there? I don't have any idea. I'm just, if I did anything, it was not without being within the legal system.
Mr. Chairman, just so I can react to that, in all due respect, Commissioner, you were advised in detail at a number of meetings of the reason, and can I finish, please, before you interrupt? All right? A number of meetings, and the purpose was because of the vast number of records. You are well aware of that, and you have had the opportunity to call. So I just want to indicate, can I finish, okay? I just want to indicate that you were given this information, you're aware, and it's a little disingenuous to indicate that you don't know what's going on.
I absolutely do not know why they were hired. You
listening.
gave me a letter that was ambiguous. I don't understand it. I'm not an attorney. I don't have the authority to do that. Again, we're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. This was a settlement that was approved by our council.
It's just very concerning because this is a lawsuit that was against the county. And
That we settled.
the three of us represent the county. And the two signatures that are on that check are myself, and I think Commissioner Cummings. We had no clue. The process should have been the process. My problem is this same law firm is the same law firm that has a lawsuit on behalf of Commissioner Terriani against myself and Commissioner Cummings. That's what's very nerve-wracking about it. What else is very nerve-wracking about it is we go into executive session as a prison board, and Commissioner Terriani is involved in these situations. And that he would go and ask for a check for $45,000 on behalf of his cousin's law firm, which he's partnered with Mr. Cummingford. That's the scary part about this situation. I have no problem with cutting a check or doing a settlement. I have no problem with that, and I never have in the future, never had in the past, and I never will in the future. The problem is the way that it was expedited, and the fact that it was walked out to a person who was actually suing us. I mean, that's not the way it works. I mean, that's, I don't know about anybody else. It seems very unethical to me. It does.
Again, I have no authority to expedite any check for the county.
Can I get a solicitor's opinion?
I was just going to say that, let's ask John what
I took a look at this for Commissioner Cummings. One of the facts that, and I'm not here to throw dirt balls, I don't really, but one of the facts is that in a suit that's actually currently pending against the county, against the commissioners and others, Matt Comerford, that same lawyer, filed papers representing Commissioner Terriani. That's of record, as did Paul Walker. Both of those guys are longtime friends of mine. I hired Matt, I believe, so I have nothing personal against either one. I think there's some kind of fiduciary obligation there. I think in the context of maybe trying to expedite something for someone, it created what I would say is just not a good appearance. I would leave it at that.
An appearance I will give you, but it was decided by Don Frederickson to settle the case because we had no defense to it.
There's no issue about that.
And it went to the controller, and it went to our financial offices.
I look at the checks that the controller processes on a 2-week basis. I don't know how he does it, to be honest with you, with all the stuff that he has to do.
All right, if guilty of anything, I'm guilty of trying to expedite it. Other than that, nothing.
All I'm saying is there's a process in place, and I think when you go away from that process,
the process was still followed. It was just done quicker.
But might I suggest in the future that the three commissioners get together?
Well, I think we should approve them all before we pay any of them.
No, my suggestion would be that there has to be an arrangement for taking a payment outside of the ordinary course. It can happen in a disaster. It can happen anywhere. I would suggest that first requests go to the chief of staff. If he approves it, he gets 3 commissioners. You leave the circumstances where if there really is an emergency, there's a flood and you need a check to get the guy in there right away, 2 commissioners can do it, but only if it's certified as an emergency. That, probably a good idea to put a policy, is all I'm saying.
Well, that's what I had requested, and when I had spoken to Solicitor Sarah, and trust me, Commissioner Terriani, I think you're a very good man. I have no problems at all with you whatsoever. I've struggled with this since hearing about it, and am extremely uncomfortable even having it in this. I would much prefer to have it in executive session, but
that's not where it occurred.
I mean, no, I would
to
have the discussion in executive session.
Okay.
And but with all that said, I do feel that we need some type of policy for not only ourselves but the employees, because it just doesn't, it doesn't sit well probably with the appearance. Do you see what I'm saying? It
I
has
do,
nothing
but
to
it was
do-
something that was approved by our solicitor. At this point, we are hiring law firms to do
And
other
that's-
work, and I
that's
think we
the-
should look at that too.
That's what I'm talking about, because I was
Yes.
looking into all the legal fees and how much money we were
Right.
spending, and people were questioning us, and I was trying to make sure I had that information available to them. And then this happened, and I thought, oh my gosh, you know.
But this was a check, this was a bill that was paid that
I
we did
understand.
actually owe. As opposed to when we're hiring firms that we don't know what it's for and do approve, I think we should have two commissioners decide whether we're
Trust
going
me,
to do that and pay it.
I understand what you're saying, I do.
Okay,
I
okay.
just
Thank
feel
you.
that there has to be a policy in place for us.
And I agree with you on that.
So that one commissioner isn't just going and grabbing a check and getting it cleared and taking it to someone. I've been in a situation, in this position, where I needed an expedited check, and I had to ask your permission through the chief of staff. I don't see a problem with asking the chief of staff and then letting us know about it, but I really am uncomfortable with the situation because of some of the issues, and I hate to say that, because I hate saying it. I hate it, and I just want you to know, I really don't like feeling put in this position, and it's not something I was looking forward to, and I think that a good solution would be to have a policy put in place so that
Resolution, yeah.
so that no one else is ever in the position of feeling,
Well, before we pay any of them, I think we should have to approve to pay them. That way, we don't get it after the fact, after it's already paid. If you agree with me on that?
I do, and that's the way it normally is. Like,
Okay.
these aren't usually, like, people have to wait for their paychecks because, until we have the
No,
meeting.
these are paid before we approve them.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
No, they're
Yeah,
not.
them are.
Gary. Gary.
Are they paid beforehand?
Yeah, these are already paid.
Well, then what are we?
Audited, approved,
Right,
and paid.
this
And
is-
for the record, I did not speak to Commissioner Notarianni about this particular invoice. There was no rush that I was aware of. He may have spoken to somebody in my office, but...
I asked how the procedure works to do it. It was already approved. It went through our finance department. All the proper procedures were followed. That's different than when it was already, these are already paid when it gets to this point. On the other hand, we're hiring attorneys and agreeing to pay them, and we don't know about it.
Well, then
Joey?
I think it just deserves more further discussion
Well,
before any of
and I
this
think
is...
it should be looked at, and I think
I
maybe
think
the
it
controller
deserves
should be
further
involved there
discussion.
before we pay anything, and I think we should,
So I remain on my second for that, and I think that we should keep it this way.
See, my
And
only
further
concern,
discussion on that
my
issue.
only concern with the situation is we have ongoing litigation. And if one of our
Understand.
commissioners is running to get a check expedited for someone who has a lawsuit against us, that's concerning. Because we do have ongoing litigation.
we have
with
ongoing
these individuals.
litigation that has nothing to
And,
do with
well-
this.
Well, sure.
No, it doesn't have anything to do with this.
Yeah.
It was approved by Don
I
Ferguson.
understand that, but,
It was
but you're involved in meetings where we're talking about different things that go on with the prison.
You're
and
involved in
it's concerning.
hiring law firms to do this, why we have the Attorney General here. Why do we have to defend or question what the Attorney General's office? According to you, you invited them in.
We did invite them in,
Well,
and the
then
district
then
attorney.
let them do
and
their
the
job.
district attorney handed it over to the attorney general,
Right,
which we
and
did.
let them do their job. Why do we have to
I
spend
just
hundreds of
am concerned
thousands of
about
dollars
this one
to
issue.
check on what they're doing? Why do we need to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars?
Because that was
to check on
explained
that?
to you by our solicitor,
No,
but you did not hear
It
it.
wasn't explained.
You weren't listening.
Yeah, I was listening.
Can I again make
Sure.
a comment on this? Again, we are not, and have never challenged the Attorney General. They issued a broad subpoena for 13 million emails, and this was explained to you a number of times.
I understand
Can I
that. So
finish?
why do we
Okay,
have to
can I-
hire attorneys to check
Can
that?
I, because out of these 13 million, a small number of them pertain to the prison. The vast majority are unrelated.
And we don't-
Can I finish? A large portion of them are privileged and have some confidentiality. If we just release confidential and privileged information, we are opening up the county to a lawsuit. This law firm is now reviewing every single email. They've narrowed them down significantly and are going through and evaluating them for privilege and other confidentiality. You have area of the aging, you have children and youth, you have juvenile, you have the DA's office, you have prior investigations, all included.
Okay.
We can't just sit on our hands. We had to take affirmative steps to protect information unrelated to the prison. And that's what these attorneys are doing, and I think I explained this at a meeting.
And we don't think that the Attorney General's office is capable of deciding which of those things should be separated and which one should be used. We need to spend this money to decide how, if the Attorney General is doing his job properly.
I will respond to that. The point being missed is they shouldn't have these. They shouldn't be looking through confidential information. They shouldn't be looking through medical records of children, attorney generals. We have an obligation to protect these. That's our obligation, to protect them from anybody, unless they're related to something, okay? And out of these 13 million, they've been significantly reduced.
And I'm sure they have. And the Attorney General's office wouldn't be able to do that?
He just answered that.
They are not supposed to be reviewed by outside people. They're protected. They're HIPAA protections. We can't just release them to people.
Okay, whatever.
Okay.
So you got the second.
Okay, so I made the second. Okay, and I'm going to see what the motion is again. Approving current payables, all but 260511. Okay?
That was the second. Yeah,
Okay.
I got a second.
Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Terriani?
Yes.
Commissioner Cummings?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes. 18-0081.
This is entering into an agreement for legal services. Be resolved, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County is hereby enter into an agreement with Support Master for legal services and paternity and support matters with the Court of Common Pleas of Lackawanna County, the Domestic Relations Office, and Attorney William P. O'Peel Jr., and somebody was here from the Domestic Relations Office to explain this agreement to us. I believe it's Tressa Betts, the Deputy Director, and thank you for coming this evening.
Thanks, Tressa.
Thank you. Good evening. This is an agreement with the Lackawanna County Support Master for legal services and paternity and support matters. The purpose of this agreement is to maintain and improve the effectiveness of the Title 4D Child Support Enforcement Program by ensuring that the functions set forth as required by the federal regulations are properly, efficiently, and effectively carried out. The effective date of this agreement shall be January 1st, 2018 through September 30th, 2018.
I'd like to make a motion entering into an agreement for legal services. Do I have a second?
Second.
On the question? Roll call.
Commissioner Terriani?
Yes.
Commissioner Cummings?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes. 18-0082.
Certifying matching state funds to the County of Lackawanna Transit System for operating assistance. Be resolved, Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County hereby resolves and certifies it will provide to the County of Lackawanna Colt System local funds in the amount of $722,932 to match state funds provided pursuant to 74 Pennsylvania CS Section 1513 in fiscal year 2018-2019. Furthermore, the Board of Commissioners resolves and certifies that the required amount of local matching funds will be provided no later than the end of state fiscal year June 30th, 2019. And I believe Mr. Doug Hine is here from the County of Lackawanna Transit System to explain this to us.
Yes, thank you, Commissioners. This is our annual request for funding that is required.
The allocation.
I'm sorry?
The allocation.
The allocation, yes. It's required by federal and state law. In order for Colts to receive our funding from them, we have to have a local match. And this is just the annual request for the allocation.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion certifying the matching state fund for County Lackawanna Transit System for operating assistance. Do I have a second?
Second.
On the question. Roll call.
Commissioner Terriani?
Yes.
Commissioner Cummings?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes. 18-0083.
Designating a tax assessment appeals date. A resolution of the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County designating August 1st as the last day for the filing of tax assessment appeal. Whereas Lackawanna County is a third-class county existing pursuant to the laws of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. whereas the Board of Commissioners has the authority to designate a date certain for any person to file appeal of the real estate property tax assessment pursuant to Pennsylvania Municipal Code, whereas currently the deadline to file a real estate property tax assessment appeal is September 14th, whereas the Deputy Director of Assessment has requested this date be moved forward to August 1st annually to allow appropriate time for the Board of Appeals to conduct appeal hearings and render decisions prior to the October 31st deadline, whereas the Lackawanna County Board of Commissioners believe it's in the best interest of Lackawanna County to adopt the recommendation of the Deputy Director of Assessment and designate August 1st as the deadline date for the file of real estate tax assessment appeals. Now therefore, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County hereby resolves the following. August 1st is the hereby designated deadline for annual filing of real estate tax assessment appeals. This resolution shall be effective for 2018 tax appeal period commencing April 1st and ending August 1st for all future years. All resolutions or parts inconsistent shall be repealed. Any section, clause, provision, or portion of this resolution shall be declared invalid or unconstitutional by any court of competent jurisdiction. Such decision shall not affect any other section, clause, provision, portion of this resolution, which shall remain in force and effect. And Mr. John Foley, Deputy Director of our Tax Appeals Office and Board of Assessors Office, is here if there are any questions on the agreement.
Hey, John.
Commissioners, the reason we're asking for this request is the time delay that it takes between when we receive the appeal notice or the people request an appeal. We have to schedule meetings for them. And the problem has been for the last couple of years with the amount of appeals that we get, to make that September 1st date that we give them and have a filing by the end of September, it's almost impossible. We're stacking them up with 40, 45 hearings in one day. And people are complaining they don't have enough time to present their case. So there's a certain statutory period that we need 40 days to be able to hold the appeals or get the appeal request, hold the appeal hearing, and then notify the people, and that they have a time after that where they can file to the courts if they want. And we have right now pending about 140 cases appealed to the courts. So what we're asking is we can move this forward to August 1st, so it would give us adequate time to be able to schedule for the public to have adequate time for their hearings and still meet the legal requirements of having the filings done by October 31st.
Does the board have any questions for Mr. Foley? I'd like to make a motion designating a tax assessment appeal date. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Terriani?
Yes.
Commissioner Cummings?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes. Thanks,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Foley.
And Commissioners, at the request of one of the Commissioners, this will also be publicized in our annual newsletter. It's going out to notify the public. We put it in this morning. I submitted it to our Director of Public Relations, Joe Dorenzo, and it will be published in our newsletter, changing the date. And Commissioner Cummings specifically requested and asked me to do that.
Thank you very much.
Good idea.
Chief Walsh, thank you.
18-0084.
Accepting the proposal from Geographic IT, be resolved, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County hereby accepts the proposal from Geograph IT to provide on-demand GIS operational technical support services to split between the Assessor's Office, Emergency Service Department, Planning Economic Development Office. Contract is to begin immediately, expire on December 31st, 2018, not to exceed $63,900. And Mr. Mike Brown from our IT department is here to explain the agreement.
Good
evening,
Mr.
Commissioners.
Mike, how are you?
Anyway, this agreement is an annual renewal agreement that is providing support to 3 departments that actually have this amount budgeted within their purview to actually provide support within the JS application that they currently use, the Assessors Department, 911, and Economic Development. So what these services allow them, if there is any problems within the application, any training that's required, this is where they get the help from.
Okay. Does the board have any questions? Okay, I'd like to make a motion accepting proposal for Geograph IT. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Commissioner Terriani?
Yes.
Commissioner Cummings?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
18-0085.
Ratifying a memorandum of understanding, be it resolved, Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County does hereby ratify a memorandum of understanding with Employment Opportunity and Training Center of Northeastern Pennsylvania for the Lackawanna County Prison as attached hereto, and our Warden Tim Betty is here to explain the agreement.
Hey, Warden, how are you?
Good evening. In a nutshell, this is a formalization of services that are already provided on both sides of the street between us, the prison, and EOTC. There's a federal grant that they're applying for. One of the requirements is that there's an official MOU that's entered into for the duration of the grant if it is awarded to EOTC, which is 3 years.
Does the board have any questions for Warden Betty?
What is the money used for, Warden?
The monies are going to go for the Women's Reentry Assistance Program. They're looking to expand that program. It's an existing program right now. They want to be able to serve more female inmates than they're presently doing.
So this female commissioner can't vote no then, right? Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion ratifying a memorandum of understanding. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Terriani?
Yes.
Commissioner Cummings?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes. Thanks, Warden. Opportunity for the public to address the board.
John Appleton, friend of Mr. Notarianni. Are you preparing a log for the Attorney General to see what documents are not being turned over in sufficient specificity so that he will understand what documents you're withholding?
Our law firm is doing that.
They are. And will Mr. Notarianni get a copy of that log?
They are preparing a privilege log. They are preparing a privilege log, and that's being reviewed by the Attorney General.
And will Mr. Notarianni get a copy of the log?
I will talk to the law firm and ask them if they'll release that to him. I do not have it.
And if you're not, would you let him know so we can then address it?
I will let him know.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Commissioners, other business? Commissioner Cummings?
There's nobody here to talk about reassessment, huh? I'm surprised. Okay. I have a couple things. Who's that?
Sorry, we could talk about reassessment, but it's a lost cause. So if Scranton's not going to change your mind, what's German going to do?
You can say something if you want.
No, that's okay.
Okay. All right.
It was a ballot. Great.
Oh, it was on the ballot, okay. A couple of things in regards to the situation up here, with the check, and, I work with two really good guys. They're on the opposite end of the spectrum of the party that I'm from. I disagree with them probably 90% of the time on issue-based problems. This type of issue that we're talking about today, it was I actually brought it to the meeting that we had last Friday because I heard about it and it really upset me, and I thought we can handle it a different way, but I hope that it doesn't bring any kind of further wedge or divide into the work that we're doing, but it may, because I really I hope that when we meet, we have a policy brought up that fixes it so this doesn't happen again. And that's just, I'll leave it there because I really do have a lot of respect for both of you. And, I just, this is something that I would be totally against. And I just have to say that because I'm concerned. I'm just concerned. And I've lost a lot of sleep over it. And I'm concerned about this one. As for the Mr. Appleton talking about the prison lawsuits and things like that, makes me even more concerned because there was a certain reason why I did what I did when I first got elected, and it concerns me. But anyway, moving on to a couple things that were in the media. The sheriff's information. I was made aware of a couple articles in regards to the cell phone policy at our administrative building. Did ask Sheriff McAndrew about his current policy, and he's telling me that he did change the policy at our administration building. And for those of you that aren't aware, they tried to stop people from coming into a public meeting like this with their cell phones, which actually have video capability, and that's against the Sunshine Law. But our sheriff and a few of our judiciary members weren't aware of that fact, so the policy stood firm until I took it to the ACLU, and you know, sometimes that's what women have to do, is go above the guys' heads and to be proven right, and that's what I did. So glad that you know, I was recognized by the Scranton Times. Thank you so much, Jeff, for doing that story. I greatly appreciate it. And to the editors at the Scranton Times, thank you for the write-up on that. And thank you to Steve Corbett, who actually came in to see me and did a write-up in the Times Leader on it. It's still not completely taken care of. I hope that the sheriff rescinds that policy. I did ask him to station the sheriffs on the second floor of the courts rather than, you know, do that cell phone project down at the main entrance. And he refused, stating that our sheriffs can only do one job at a time, apparently. So I think they're capable of much more. I don't think it would be an issue to have them standing outside on the second floor, right outside the door of the courtrooms, rather than on the main floor on our when we first walk into the building. But you know, I'm being told he's an elected official, so there you go. Maybe next time we'll know better. I also would like to talk about the article in regards to Brian Doughton. This I was not real thrilled with the title of the article in the Scranton Times, and I'm not even going to repeat it because it's just too, it's defamatory to this man. First, I would like to say that I'm happy with the fact that we were able to appoint someone who's got their life back together again after having a rough life. And we put them on a board that's a voluntary position. That's what we voted on, is a voluntary position on a board. We did not vote to hire him in the DA's office. None of us. Not one of us. So let me just clear that up right now. I was not aware that he was hired in the DA's office.
I wasn't.
Were you?
No.
Were you? Not one of us. I'm in the camera, you see, all three of us said we were not aware of it. So how that got in here, that he got a county job by us, is beyond me, because that's not what happened. So that question would have to go somewhere else, because it doesn't belong in the commissioner's office. We had no idea that he was hired there. So I just want to put that one to rest immediately. Cell phone sheriff. Let me just make sure I'm not forgetting anything. I had the opportunity to watch the Scranton School District's, or the Scranton City Council meeting on Monday, and there's a gentleman by the name of Dave Dobbs who always comes up with some ideas to try and be helpful, and everybody that goes to the Scranton City Council meetings are very passionate about the city, and they try their best to give information that's helpful to not only the council members but for their fellow citizens. And I believe he came up with an extremely good idea in regards to this issue with violence in the school systems. I don't know if you had watched the meeting or not,
No, I
but
didn't see it. I usually do see it.
he had suggested that rather than guns, they use pepper spray guns. And he had a sample there, and it would be safer, and he felt that it would be much more safer in regards to not shooting someone, obviously, but that the person wouldn't die from pepper spray. I don't know how effective they are, but I think it's something that we should look into as well for the county and for our offices. I know that we just had that safety course from the sheriffs, but maybe that's something that we could look into as well. And I think it's an excellent idea for the teachers that are too fearful of, you know, having a weapon or anything like that, or the idea of that being in the schools. I had the opportunity today to testify in Wilkes-Barre in regards to the Affordable Care Act, or as others like myself refer to it, Obama tax. You know, I think that as I'm going around the community, it's becoming an issue because so many people are being affected by the costs. And, you know, county officials or government workers, we really don't, unless you lived under this plan, you really aren't aware of the effects on the general public that this is having. And I just want to mention a couple of people that I spoke to in the past couple weeks when I've been out. You know, I go door to door a lot. I make a lot of phone calls to our constituents. And a gentleman I spoke to from, I'll say up the line, is married, just him and his wife, and he's currently paying $1,500 a month, $1,500 a month for his premium, with a $10,000 deductible in his insurance and his medical coverage. Last year, his costs were $24,000. $18,000 just for the premium, and the rest was what he had to pay out because he went to the doctors, but it's not covered by the deductible, so he has to pay for it out of pocket. Who can afford $24,000 for just to have your premium and to go to the doctors and have some medications? It's horrendous. You know, I have family members that they won't even use their insurance because they have a $5,000 deductible. So I'm hoping that you know, this was put on by the House Democratic Policy Committee, Mike Sterla, and these are all Democratic state representatives. I will let you know about that. And they were very gracious in allowing me the time to talk to them. And I'd like to publicly thank Representative Eddie Dapashinsky, who put me on the dais to allow the opposite side to have a voice. And I think that says a lot for our community. And I think that it has to have a dialogue that's, you know, not based on rhetoric and, you know, character assassinations and things like that. We have to really look at what's happening so that we can help the citizens rather than fighting amongst each other. And again, I appreciate the time that they gave me. With that said, I'm happy to be here in German, and I thank you all so much for hosting us this evening. I look forward to having a meal at the Windsor. And somebody just raised their hand. Is there a question? Yes, sir. You can come up to the podium. It's my time, so you can, as long as I'll refrain, I'll give it to him.
My name is Frank Kulik. I'm president of the German Council. First of all, I'd like to thank the commissioners for coming. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. And more importantly, we'd like to ask for your help in helping us take care of this long, way too long creek project that's going on in the town of German. We have 2 county bridges that have been out for, I don't know, 8 years or longer. Red tape until you can't see it anymore. We're looking at possibly 2022 before we even think about starting it. And quite frankly, I think when it does start, it'll probably bankrupt the town of German. We need to look for some other alternatives to make it fixed. I don't think there's problem is as bad as everybody thinks it is. I think there's ways to alleviate it that may be a lot simpler than all the rigmarole we're going through in DEP and Army Corps of Engineer. And we have to do something because we can't wait another 5 years. And quite frankly, we're not going to be able to pay for it.
Gary Cavill.
Yeah, is Gary Cavill here?
And both Gary and Larry Lucas are both here.
Larry
They're both
Lucas,
prepared to answer it.
With this fine gentleman here?
This is going on a long time.
Yeah.
Commissioners, this is an ongoing
Gary
project.
Cavill is our county engineer, and Larry Lukasik, who's at his side, is our director of roads and bridges.
Commissioners, this is an ongoing project that the county really hasn't been involved in, other than we do have 3 bridges right now, and he is correct that 2 of them are closed down right now. 1 is open, and we haven't repaired those or put them on our bridges to be repaired because they're part of the Rushbrook Creek Flood Protection Project. So it's a my understanding of it, and since it's been ongoing since 2010 when I started, is that PADEP is leading the design of it, and there's been some disagreements between DEP and the Army Corps of Engineers, and then there's also some right-of-way take information, or right-of-way takes that need to be done by German's engineer. The county, through George Kelly's group, has, I believe, provided, I want to say, a $550,000 grant to assist in that with utility. Okay.
385, Gary.
385, thank you. 385,000, thank you for the correction. To assist in the utilities and some of the right-of-way claims. Other than that, you know, I was involved, my company was in providing some of the survey early on, not through the county, something else. But, I mean, that's kind of where it stands. It's a German project. They're the sponsor.
Thank you. Larry? Is it Larry?
Larry.
Do you have anything further? or-
I was just saying that, you know, when this project started years ago, DEP came up and said they were going to replace our 3 bridges, but only the actual structure itself.
Not the superstructure.
Not the superstructure. From there up, we're responsible, actually German Borough was responsible for it. At that time, I think Corey and Mike were involved, and they said, well, why should German pay? We'll commit to the money to finish the bridge projects. At that time, I think it was $300,000. Now we're probably looking, by the time it's done in 2022, we're probably looking like more like $600,000 to complete the project that the county has agreed to pay for. But again, it has nothing to do with the county. It's a project between DEP and German Borough. I mean, we're committed to finish our bridges when the project comes through. We can't build the bridges now because the design isn't complete. We can't put a bridge in that will be too small once the design is done. So we're kind of stuck. We can't fix our bridges until the design is done also. It's just a project that we're waiting on, but we have committed to say, okay, we'll fix our 3 bridges once the time comes. But again, the county really has nothing.
We can't fix our part till the
Thank you.
bottom's done.
Thank you for that information, and thank you for bringing that to us, Mr. Kulik. How about, I'll try and get a meeting set up with Senator Blake and with the German Bureau and ourselves and see what we can do in regarding to...
I appreciate that, but we've had plenty of those kind of meetings already.
Not with us sitting there.
And I'm not blaming the county. I'm just asking for help, because we
maybe
quite
It's a long
frankly, I
time.
don't think we can
Yeah.
wait another 5 years. It's
Did you not recognize it's election year?
Pardon me?
It's election year.
There's been plenty of election years from the time
Are
it
you not
started to
talking,
now.
what, you just hit the elections right now.
Commissioner.
Guess what? Somebody will be talking about this tomorrow, I can guarantee you that.
Senator Blake's is involved, his office is involved, so he's well aware of it, and I think that would help. And then if we can bring DEP to the table, as well as the Army Corps, with your assistance, as much as we can get the public out there involved to know, because it's been ongoing for, what, since 2006?
Gary,
Thank you, Gary.
let's set something up through our office for the big conference room, and we'll try to get everybody together. Reach out to the commissioner's office tomorrow, and we'll see if we can set some over the next week or two, okay?
Thank you for coming up, and I appreciate you having me here again. And I also see Joanne Wilson is here.
Joe Wilson.
Anyone else from the board?
Thanks, Mayor. Thank
The
you.
mayor.
Dan Markey.
Dan Markey.
Huga, Councilman Cindy Stevens, and Councilman Mr. Napoli.
We'll make sure that all of you are in the room when we set up the meeting, okay? We'll do something in the next 2 weeks, okay? As soon as we can get the main people to the table, okay?
Thank you for attending the meeting as well as hosting us. I appreciate that. And I appreciate the work you're doing, even though I know we have some differences too, and in regards to reassessment. That's okay, though. That's what it's about. You know, trying to get a solution. You always have to have a discussion. You can't have a solution without it.
No one's ever gonna please everybody.
No, they're not.
And I understand that, but, you know, we're, let me approach it. I can't hear anything, so.
Dan Markey, Vice President, German Borough Council. Again, I reiterate Frank's comments. Thank you for coming tonight. We're happy to have you here as you take your show on the road. as far as reassessment goes,
For show now.
as far as reassessment goes, and I know Commissioner Cummings was here at a meeting after we passed a resolution supporting the reassessment, and she let us know her thoughts, and I understand that and everything, but you know, our thoughts as a town with an annual budget of $600,000-$700,000, and we're on the cusp of a $4.3 million creek project, in which the county has offered to help with the $385,000. The borough is responsible for all different types of things, like you know, getting the easements and a $15,000 yearly escrow account, and where our DPW has to clean out the trash rack and basically, you know, maintain the creek and everything like that. It's money that we don't have. We won't be able to find. We've been fortunate this year with a couple LSA grants, with getting a new DPW truck and some help with some sewer issues that the borough owns and not the sewer authority, so we're on the hook for those as well. Our plight is right now we're in a borough of roughly 2,200 people, and out of those 2,200 people, we have about 35 to 40% roughly, you know, paying into the local income tax, you know, that work and pay income taxes and things like that. You know, we have currently, I think, an outstanding $118,000 in delinquent property taxes and garbage fees and things like that. So the money's getting smaller, and I understand that if the county did reassess, you know, of course it's a big you know, bill on the county up front to start, and I understand that we would have to lower assessment, you know, lower our millage rates, of course, so that everything is revenue neutral and everything like that. I just think personally, and I mean, I don't have any professional here to back me up or anything like that, but I have read a lot of different stories about different counties in Pennsylvania reassessing, and the results of that, where, yeah, some people are going to pay more in their taxes. They are going to pay their fair share, but then you're also going to, you know, drive economic development and people that want to come in to the county and develop their businesses and things like that, and gain revenue that way. And it's just, I mean, it's my opinion. Again, I don't have anyone here professionally to back me up, but that, you know, things would work out better for the county in the end. And that's just my opinion. I know I told you that from day one, Commissioner Cummings, and you know, that's just where I stand. I mean, right now I think we have someone in town here that has a local borough tax of $43 or something like that. That's their yearly tax to the borough.
And I think I explained to you guys that you have a fiduciary responsibility as well to monitor that and go to the appeals hearing, which you guys weren't aware of at the time that I came up. So I'm hoping that you're now taking advantage of that and going to the appeals hearings with Mr. Foley to try and maintain your tax base rather than allowing it to be changed every year.
Yeah, I know Frank looked into that. How many did we have that appealed in German? Did we have any? I don't think we have any.
No, you have the opportunity, your school district and you have the opportunity
I'm sorry?
to appeal those amounts.
Oh, we can appeal to have their, okay, to have, I'm sorry. I misunderstood.
Not for me. Thank you very much,
Thanks for coming in.
and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, and what I'll say last to that is that when we had the gentleman up, Luzerne County just went through reassessment, and it hasn't improved their economic development or their anything for them at all. They have to raise their taxes every year since. So, and they, you know, Wilkes-Barre didn't even accept the reassessment because the city would be too devastated by what would happen to them, and as far as their 10 houses in different areas that they pulled. So I think that that says it all as well. But I do appreciate everyone coming here and listening to us and to listen to what we talk about in our county meetings. I hope to see you in Scranton once in a while. It would be really nice to have more people at our meetings there. I know it's difficult because it's at 10 o'clock in the morning, but, you know, I do thank again both commissioners for allowing me the opportunity to have these meetings throughout the county in the evening. We do have about 8 of them, or if not more, throughout the year, so I
The
do
budget
appreciate
hearings and
that.
the regular meetings.
Thank
yeah.
you so much, and thank you everyone again for coming.
Commissioner Terriani.
I'd like to thank the Borough of German too for their hospitality to have us here. I'm not about to get into another reassessment debate, but we certainly have points of views that are totally different. And as far as economic development, as far as Lackawanna County has hundreds of acres of vacant land that we own. We shouldn't be in the land business. In order for us to sell it at its most reasonable, profitable price, it would be something we would have to reassess in order to sell it. We shouldn't be in the real estate business. There's a lot of advantages to it. That being said, the only thing I want to make clear, that check, I did expedite it. There's no question about it. I did nothing wrong or illegal. But it's something that it was not part of an ongoing investigation. It was a settlement made encouraged by our insurance company because we had no defense to it. It was approved by our council, recommended by our lawyers to pay it. Okay, it was a current event. It wasn't something going on to the investigation for the last 17, 20 years. This was like someone did something in the jail. It was a current event, and they were awarded a settlement for what one of our guards did to that person. Is that correct, Don?
That's correct.
That is correct. Okay. That's it. It's got nothing to do with the investigation. But what I would like to do, Commissioners, I'd like to make a motion that before controller pays the bills, so we don't get them after the fact, that we get an opportunity to review the bills from these law firms and get at least 2 commissioners to agree to it. I would like to make a motion to do that, and you want to second that?
We wait for it, do it at a work session, discuss it.
Yeah, well, the problem with that is that, and I did ask to do that, but the problem with that is that when the controller gets the bills, they're in a big lump sum. That's what my problem was.
Okay.
It's not separated
Okay.
by department.
If it's
So we don't know if it's for, you know, I don't know, somebody in our prison, or if it's for somebody that's, you know,
If it only
jaywalking.
pertains to the current investigation, that would be my motion.
Yeah, well, I'm trying, yes, and I think that's what we voted on the last time, when Chief Wallace got the separation for me for all of the expenditures that had to deal specifically with the prison alone. I got all those, and we looked at those and voted on them at that time. That's what I believe happened.
Work session, maybe.
But yeah, we should definitely discuss it further, and I agree, there should be changes made. That's why I said we should make some changes. So I'll agree to make some more
We
changes
should
and more
invite Don
discussion on
Fredericks
that.
into session too, because Don reviews those bills to make sure they're properly redacted. Don and I both visited the law firm today to review those bills because I had questions on them too, and I didn't understand the process. Don took me over and showed me, and I understand clearly now why these bills are redacted and why we cannot submit them. And I think Don could explain that to the Board of Commissioners during the session. I was pleased he took me to the law firm in Scranton today and explained to me. He spent an hour with me. We went through the bills and he explained to me what was redacted and what could be released. And Solicitor Brazil and Solicitor Frederickson are correct in their assessment, and they're trying to protect the interests of the county commissioners by doing it the way they're doing it.
I agree.
Okay.
I'm sorry,
That's it.
Can I ask a question?
No, that's
on
it.
that really
That's,
quickly?
It's
no,
over.
it's
No,
Commissioner's comment that ends it, basically. We'll talk afterwards.
Okay, all right.
Okay. One quick question. Do we have ongoing litigation with Cummingford and Walker?
Nothing to do with that particular
But
case,
do we have
though.
ongoing litigation with the prison?
Yes, we do.
Nothing to do with that particular case,
That
though.
particular case is settled.
Nothing, that case is
But
settled.
we do have ongoing litigation.
ongoing
Okay,
litigation.
just want to make sure of that. Okay.
Four. I think we have four
Four?
outstanding. I think we have four outstanding with that firm.
One just filed.
I'm just for it.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
including now, yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'd like to, first and foremost, thank the people of German and all of our elected officials here. Thank you very much, Mayor, Council, and all the citizens for coming out and welcoming us into your council chambers. Thank you very much. I'd like to congratulate the Abington Heights basketball team for winning PIAA state championship. You know, congratulations to all of the Abington Heights basketball players and their staff. Scranton Armed Forces Parade is going to be Saturday, May 19, 2018. It steps off at 11 a.m. Please come on out. Thank our veterans. It really matters. We need to have a big crowd downtown. You know what I mean? If it wasn't for our veterans, we wouldn't be able to sit here tonight and discuss government matters. I'd like to thank all of our veterans. Hats off to all of them and all that are in the audience. And I'd like to also just wish good luck to the rail riders. They're going to have their home opener this Friday. I'd like to wish them good luck in their endeavor for the Governor's Cup and the AAA World Championship. And at this time, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
I have a second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Terriani?
Yes.
Commissioner Cummings?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes.
Thank you.
Tracy, I had to-
Okay.
I'll give you the